Hey everybody, it's Dre with Yourself.Podcast. And today is Friday, November 28th, and it's the day after Thanksgiving. For those of you who celebrate the holiday, I hope you had a great holiday. I hope you ate a lot of turkey and all your favorites. For those who do not celebrate, I hope you had some moments of peace and comfort. Um, Today, we actually do not have a guest scheduled because of the holiday. A lot of people are visiting family and doing, parties and dinners and gobble gobble, all that stuff. And so I thought I would come on and basically just talk a little bit about loneliness. I don't want it to be too much of a downer for you guys today because it is a holiday, but during these holiday times, we do find that many people are, let's face it, we get lonely because not a lot of us have families who are close by or families at all. Um, Sometimes our friends are far away, and we end up spending the holidays uh, alone. So, um, what I really wanted to talk about was how to get through those days. Personally, I myself, um, I lost the two most important people in my life recently, which was my father in 20, if it was, this February will be 3 years. And I lost my mother actually 20 years ago. And Thanksgiving was actually my mother's favorite holiday. Um, we are Hispanic. We're a Hispanic family. Uh, but to her, Thanksgiving did not mean what most people think about Thanksgiving. Um, the tragic end of a society of people, um, or the discovery of America. It didn't mean that to her. What it meant was she was grateful for her creator and for her God, which is something I share. Um, but we're not going to talk about religion today. We're not going to talk about politics today either. Like I said, the main reason I'm here today is to just kind of talk about the subject loneliness. And I'm sure we've all been there before, holiday or no holiday. Um, I, in fact, uh, suffer from a very bad anxiety. Um, I am on medications to assist me with it, and it helps me quite a bit. However, in times like this, when I'm at home by myself, and if the weather is just right, and I, my mind is idle, my body is idle, and I'm not thinking about anything positive, I will start to feel that is actually one of my first inclinations that I'm going to have an anxiety attack. And the anxiety attack is on a roll already. And the way I can tell is because I start to feel this unexplainable loneliness in my soul. Like it goes deep down into my soul, into my heart. And then it's followed by a lot of shaking. And then it's followed by a tremendous amount of worry over absolutely nothing that I can control, over things that aren't even fathomly close to my life. And so once once those, I guess you don't want to call them symptoms, those symptoms come to me so fast that within a 5 to 10 minute period, I'm in a full blown anxiety attack. And I wish that those people who do not have anxiety would understand, because it is a very difficult thing to understand. And I know that people who do suffer from anxiety might know where I'm coming from. Sometimes anxiety hits people in different ways. Um, they might start having shortness of breath, or their heart might race. Those things I also experience, but it later comes as the anxiety attack increases. So for me, like I said, it starts out with this humongous amount of just straight loneliness. Like I'm in a world full of people, but they are all invisible, or either I'm invisible, one of the two. And so it's quite uh, it's quite sad, and it's debilitating. It's you feel a sense of extraction from the entire world, even from those who may love you the most. Um, I have been married for a long time, well, for 9 years, and even my husband, he has tried to understand where my loneliness comes from. And sometimes he'll say, "I'm right here," and I could be in a crowd full of people and still feel the exact same way. So it's hard to explain, and it's even harder to understand for those who do not experience it. So I'm going to try my best to kind of walk you through that and what loneliness looks like to me. So the anxiety started when I was about 7 years old, and it never stopped. I did have a lot of childhood trauma and a lot of adulthood drama. um, and I think one had something to do with the other. I've been to therapy so many times over the course of my life. And so one of the things that I suffered with the most was the loneliness. Now, granted, I am an only child. I was extremely shy from, I guess, the minute I was born till I was about possibly maybe 12 or 13. Um, I grew up in a generation, I'm from Generation X. So at 5 or 6 years old, I remember standing, we had an apartment that had like a wide living room window that you could just look out. And I would look outside. This is just one of my memories that I have. I would look outside and see a bunch of kids playing. And my mom would say, "Why don't you go out there and play?" I mean, at 5 and 6 years old, I think that's kind of young to encourage. But, back then it was like, it was no big deal. I guess you could say kids knew kind of when to come and go. And I just couldn't do it. I could not bring myself to find friends, to look for friends, to have the desire to have friends. Um, and then when I would visit my maternal grandmother, which she actually adopted my mom, but I would visit her at times in the state of Texas, and she would complain to my mom. She would say, "I don't know what's wrong with her because she does a lot of sleeping during the day." And I think that was the part of my life that was called depression. because it wasn't normal for a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old to just want to sleep for part of the day, most of the day, and then sleep again at night. So, anyhow, that's how my anxiety started growing over the years. And the worse it got um, during my teenage years, that's when I found the substance that I could not let go of, which was alcohol. So I at first, when I first started drinking, it was very occasional, only when I went out with friends on weekends. And when you're a teenager or a young person under the age of 21, you'll drink just about anything to prove yourself to your friends. But I grew a taste for a specific type of liquor and a specific taste for any kind of beer. So, and I laugh about it now, which is not funny, but um, to me, it helped. I realized that when I drank, I didn't feel lonely. I didn't feel awkward. I didn't feel like I couldn't socialize with people or make friends. I actually became a little bit more extroverted instead of being so introverted. I would strike up conversations with people that I didn't know. I would normally befriend someone that my introvert self probably wouldn't try to be friends with. And I was daring, I was reckless, but most of all, even though, and when I drank alone, that's when the loneliness really started to set into my chest. And I mentally did not connect the dots, but I started to mentally connect with certain parts of things or things that I thought of, or my actions, or the environment around me, or the weather, even. So when those things kind of aligned, I knew today is the day I'm going to drink. And so I became addicted to alcohol, and I became a full blown alcoholic. I would drink at my jobs. I would go on breaks and I would drink on my jobs. I, a lot of times, would go into my job very hungover. Um, I would come home very, very late at night, if at all. And I possibly could have gotten in so much trouble with my life during those times. And those times lasted for decades. And it did not help that I saw my parents kind of in the same pattern. And, but the one thing that I promised myself, which I saw a lot of in my family, and I have no blame for any of my family members who may see this, but a lot of my family members who were my age learned to drink along with their parents. And for some reason, because I felt that I was already parenting my parents because they had gotten together so young and we were growing up like teenagers together. My mom had me at the age of 18. She got married to my dad at the age of 16. And so it was like kids raising a kid, you know. So since I found out that I was like basically parenting, I could not bring myself to drink alongside with my parents because I felt that if we all three drink, Lordy, I mean, that meant some serious trouble. I mean, we were all reckless when we were under the influence. And I thought to myself, we can't have all three of us doing whatever we feel like, you know, and then sparking different moods together things like that. I just saw that from a very early age. So I tended to not drink with my parents at all, and I never did. And I'm glad that I never did. But unfortunately, they did many times see me beyond drunk. And so, with all of that negativity said, and all of the stuff that I've just explained, I want people to understand that the reason why you may feel that loneliness is because, and that anxiety is because whatever happened to you as past trauma that for you to have anxiety, for me, it was wired into my brain because scientifically your brain does not stop developing, believe it or not, until the age of 24, I believe. You can fact check that. It may be 27, but I know that it's between those two ages. And so when you're having anxiety prior to that, and when it was implanted in me, your brain actually gets wired that way. So it may take years, it may take your entire life to get rid of the anxiety and the loneliness that you feel that accompanies it. So the thing that I would do to cope with that loneliness is I still have it, what I called my anxiety bunny. And I wish I had it here to present it to you, but I don't. It was a gift from, I can't even remember when, but it was a gift from someone. And everybody knows that I love the color black. My hair tries to be black. My clothing's usually black. I have a little bit of color on today, but so it's just my style. I just love the color black. And so they bought me this huge black bunny with a pink bow on it, nonetheless. And so I would hold on to that bunny and I would squeeze it so tight because I needed to feel something. And it wasn't until I got married, right before we got married, that I decided I'm going to stop drinking because I need something else to fill that hole that I'm feeling, that emptiness, that loneliness. And so, and I knew that if I kept drinking, my marriage would fail. So, thankfully, my father had the foresight to tell me, if you keep this track record, you're probably going to lose this one. And I didn't want to lose that one. So, I quit drinking cold turkey. I went to a few AA meetings, and I found that I was still having anxiety. I thought me quitting drinking would solve all my problems. It did not. I had to go through about a year of not knowing what was wrong with me, having serious personality obsession compulsive disorder, which means that you feel that you need to be in control of everything around you that is a part of you or that belongs to you. So I needed complete order. I became a perfectionist in my home. And so my husband finally convinced me to go back to therapy and try getting on medication, in which I did. And when I did, I started to feel better. And I received, there's my little puppy back there. And I received medication for my panic attacks as well. So I can't say that I'm completely 100% rid of it. It might be something that I may have to deal with for the rest of my life. I hope that for those of you who are listening, he's trying to dig his way to some other country. But For those of you who do not understand the loneliness that comes with anxiety, please be patient with that person. Your presence alone, without any speaking to them, without encouraging words, without even saying, I care for you, I love you, sometimes those words don't even penetrate what the person that's going through the anxiety attack, sometimes those words don't penetrate in. So if just by sitting with them makes them feel better, try that. And I know I didn't go too much into it. I kind of went into my whole spiel about my life history. But there is something positive that I do want to share with before my time is up here today. Like I said, I hope everybody had a great holiday if you celebrate it. And if you don't celebrate it, I hope that you had a moments of peace, of solitude, of meditation, gathering of family, of great support. But one of the things that I wanted to leave you with today actually comes from the book of one of our team members. It's called The Wisdom Mentality, and it is by Daniel at Wisdom Mentality. You can find this book on sale for the humble price of $15. And I just wanted to read the very first part of the very first chapter of it, just to bring you some light today and some positivity, and hopefully these words will encourage you to try happy just for today, just for one moment in your life, and to feel some sort of hope. So the chapter begins, you were born limitless before the world told you who to be. You simply were. Let's rewind to the beginning. Not your job, not your story, not your beliefs. You. Before fear, before expectations, before pain shaped your choices. As a child, you didn't second guess your joy. You didn't worry about things being too loud, too emotional, too different. You just existed, limitless, full of curiosity, wonder, and raw potential. You didn't care how others saw you. You just were. But slowly the world began painting over that blank canvas. Be quiet. Don't cry. That's not how life works. You'll never make it doing that. Little by little, you learn to hide parts of yourself. You learn to trade your truth for approval. And that inner freedom, it got buried under layers of survival. The programming begins. We're all born with open minds and open hearts. But society starts programming us early, not always in obvious ways. It's the way your parents talked about money. It's in how school rewarded memorization over imagination. It's in the fear that came when you were told you had to have life figured out by a certain age. This programming becomes a voice in your head. I'm not enough. I'll never change. People like me don't succeed. But here's the truth most people never realize. That voice isn't you. It's a recording. Something you picked up, not something you are. And once you see that, you can become to reprogram everything. Now that's just a short excerpt of our tech guy, like I said, Daniel at Wisdom Mentality. I want you to think about those words that are from this book. I have to keep showing it. This book is so inspirational, so different. It brings, to me, it brings things that I used to believe, that I used to know, but had forgotten. Things that I actually was taught by my own mother once we became friends, me and my mother. And Um, I miss my parents very much every single day. I remember the goodness. I remember the good times, the struggling times that brought us closer together. I remember everything from them, the wisdom that they shared, the wisdom that they had, the learning they did through their mistakes, and the wisdom they had to teach me to say, don't make that same mistake, even though I did sometimes. But I want you to know that there is someone out there for you. And if you need to come to a place to vent, to explore your mind, to let your mind speak, you're always welcome to be a guest on Yourself.Podcast right here with us. I hope that you have a bright and happy day today, even if it's for a few moments. Be grateful for your creator and any creator that you believe in. Be grateful for this earth. Be grateful for the things you do have. Focus on the great characteristics that you have to offer to people, because people do see you. And if you do not feel seen, we see you here at Yourself.Podcast. Please reach out to us at braceyourmentalhealth@gmail.com. We're also on TikTok and on Instagram. And you can always leave a comment here on this video, and I will contact you personally. I really appreciate your time today. I appreciate the moments you've had with us in previous episodes. We look forward to having a guest next week. Unfortunately, I do not know the subject matter just yet, because there are actually 2 guests that I will be interviewing, and I'm not sure which one will be first, but I can tell you one will be chronic illness and one will be a tragedy that happened to one of our guests in their family. So our episodes may not always be uplifting. They may be a little deep, and I hopefully it intrigues you to watch. However, we hope that none of this is triggering, and we also suggest that if you are in crisis, you can always call or text 988. That is a Lifeline Crisis Center that will connect you with a mental health professional immediately. If you need to talk, if you are on the verge of harming yourself or anything like that, we do not encourage that at all. All that type of behavior, we do not encourage it. We discourage it. We hope that you find peace. We hope that you find love and hope in these days. Please reach out to us if you feel the need to speak to someone. We can always make an episode, or we can talk through any of the platforms that I've mentioned before: YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And I really appreciate your time today, and hopefully you have a good rest of the weekend. Please join us next week for a special guest, I guess, because we don't have I don't have the scheduling as far as who's going to be on first base. But do join us next week, and until then, that's a wrap.